You, Toastmaster of the Day and fellow Toastmasters. This is my first time presenting on Zoom, so I know I'm not a pro yet. Today is November 13th. Yes, you can go check the corner of your screen and see that I'm right. Unless it's your aunt's birthday today, November 13th probably doesn't mean a lot to you. It's innocuous. But for me, November 13th is a very significant date for two very different reasons. It's the date of incorporation for my business and the date my best friend passed away. You'd think that one of those events was very happy and the other was very sad, but it's more complicated than that. 21 years ago, we had just moved to the DMV area. The job that my husband should have been able to transfer here from Colorado decided that that wasn't going to happen, and we were without an income. I had started to look into indexing, and we figured that for legal reasons, we should incorporate and form a separate company. So we met with a lawyer who drew up the incorporation papers. I remember that day clearly because our youngest child was a newborn, and she slept like a champ in her car seat carrier while we were in his office. So the paperwork went through, and I was thrilled to see all those formal documents once they were completed. I finished my professional training, practiced my craft when I could. The sleeping newborn did wake up, just so you know, Rohan, and tried diligently to get indexing work. Unfortunately, it was a very, very slow process. It was years before I had any legit myself a tiny salary. At that point, you figured that you've paid your dues and the work trajectory should continue to some extent as one-time clients become repeat customers. But that's not how things turned out. Yes, I did start having some fairly steady work from a couple of sources. I became the sole indexer for the publishing division of a large organization that has headquarters in the area. They would contact me every 4 to 6 weeks, like clockwork, with a new book for me to work on. Now, I hear from them once a year if I'm lucky. There's no reason for that. They're publishing just as many books these days. It's just one of a string of things that I call weirdnesses. There's no reason why my business shouldn't have gained a significant amount of traction in the past 2 decades. There's no reason why some good clients have ghosted me. I celebrate my company's anniversary every November 13th, but lately it's just getting more painful to acknowledge that it hasn't gotten close to where it should be. I'm more experienced, more of an expert in my field, but I haven't had steady enough work all this time. And now I'm feeling more demoralized than ever. This year, November 13th does not feel like a celebration. The other part of my November 13th paradox happened about a decade after that meeting in the lawyer's office. Rachel and I knew each other for a while before we became friends. Our sons were in the same class. Fast forward a few years, and we were chatting every morning at the drop-off. At that point, she was already sick. Her health went up and down, but she always seemed to bounce back. Our kids' school was a place where we both spent many hours volunteering, often together. But one morning, she didn't show up when we were supposed to be running picture day. The next morning, pretty early, she called and asked me to stop by her house to pick up a few things and bring them to her because she was in the hospital. She told me to bring a little notebook with me, too. The notebook, it turns out, was for making lists of things that she wanted me to coordinate. She gave me the name and number of her friend who she wanted to make the Shiva or morning arrangements. She told me about a file on her computer that she wanted her son to get a printout of. She gave me the wording for a specific part of her own obituary. I had no idea that day would be the last day of her life. I've spoken here before about the hospital and how it's my happy place. And part of that is because how great they were to me that day with Rachel. They let me stay with her all day. The doctors, social workers came out and asked me how I was doing multiple times. Late in the afternoon, the decision was made to move her downstairs to hospice care. She was given morphine and basically just slept while a few of us were in the room with her. The other people varied somewhat over the course of the afternoon. Her husband was there for a little while. Her sister-in-law, who never liked her, was there for a bit. A couple of other community members spent some time with her. But I was the constant all day. I was so happy to be there, to be wanted, and to feel like I was a significant part of someone else's life. I was honored that I got to be there for her. And that makes me feel at peace, even now. So November 13th is complicated for me. Of course, I'm never going to forget either of the two things that happened on that date. The details of both events haven't gotten any hazier over time. And I'm really glad about that. Lots of things in life are complex, and you might have conflicting emotions about them. And that's just how it is. Thank you.